Hey, Sandra, y'all. Welcome. Scotch on the Bayou, Tuesday night, December, a week away, right? A week away from Papa Noel coming down to see the good little boys and girls and see whether or not they're good enough to have some spring bank or I don't know, something. I would gather that if I wrote my list to Santa, it would probably have some spring bank on it, maybe a Brora, maybe a I don't know, something good. But all in all, I've been a good girl this year, so we'll see what Santa's going to bringing. I hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for being here. I know it's such a busy time of year, but this will be our last Tuesday night for 2024. You don't know, we might pop on for a bit on New Year's Eve. You never know, but yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for making 2024 a great year. And I want to see who all is here. I saw Rob come in. Hello, everybody. Good to see you, Rob. And Ian's in from the other side of the world. Good to see you, friend. Thanks for being here. And this lovely lady, Four Leaf Whiskey Stacy, Merry Christmas to you too. Please go check out her channel. It's just she is just kicking butt and taking names right now. She's doing so well. An incredible guest that she has on her show. So yeah, please check that out. Great to see Taste and Sensibility is here. Slanja, great seeing you. And I see Trooper. Trooper's even here back at the homestead. Awesome. I hope you get to stay and get your land legs for a while there, Trooper, and enjoy some time at home for sure. Um, yeah, I'm excited about kind of talking about this. This is gonna be an odd kind of a show. And we'll get there, but I have 10 bottles on on my desk here, and I was trying to like how in the world do you pick a whiskey to go with food? And not just any kind of food, but the favorites, the traditional, the things that you have in your family, that type of thing. So I'm excited about talking about that tonight. Look who is here. Oh my gosh. Um, how are you, sir? It is so good to see you. I miss seeing you in Austin, and I hope you're doing well. Sugar Kitty is here as well. Merry Christmas to everybody. Everybody, Merry Christmas from the family. Um, Week before last, Mark and I went over to Mobile to see Robert Earl Keen. Mark, if you want to go find that link to the video and throw it in the chat, that'll be fun. But he has a song called Merry Christmas from the Family. And I swear to goodness, we all have a member in the parody of that song. So, in our own families. So that's kind of one of our traditions that we have. Another tradition, and I'm going to put this link in, features Mark. And then we're going to get into the whiskeys and all, but I don't want to forget this. A couple years ago, I got Mark to sit down and in his best Cajun accent for a boy from New Orleans, he read The Cajun Night Before Christmas by the author Trosclair. And I'm going to put that in the chat. If you get a chance to go, let's see if it's going to let me. There we go. Oh, yeah. Well, YouTube got it. Facebook didn't. I'll post it in Facebook comments later. But he narrates The Cajun Night Before Christmas. And it's like one of our traditions that we have down here, along with the bonfires on the levee. The news tonight had the pictures and footage of them building these bonfires. And there's even a red-nosed deer that is the size of probably a tank, but all made out of wood that they'll burn. And all the bonfires on top of the levee are to let Papa Noel know how to get to the children. That kind of culture adds to our food, right? And what we like to eat during certain times and certain occasions, and Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever I mean, we're going to have the Epiphany in a couple of weeks, and that comes with its own list of food that we have, particularly king cakes. So that you're used to in your family, those traditional foods, it's just interesting to see, how would you pair that with whiskey? And when you think about it too, it's not so much is that you're trying to say what do I want to drink while I eat? It's more of what whiskey can help complement the flavors of a particular food. Um, so we're going to talk about some of that. And here's the big part when I say we, because this is class participation. This is required. I want to hear from you all. I know what my culture, my background is, and I'm going to share a lot of that with y'all. And you're going to hear about some Cajun food. You're going to hear about some New Orleans food you probably never heard of. But I'm going to talk about what the food is and then the main flavor agents in the food. And then I've kind of got an idea what I would pick, but based on that, I want to hear what you all would pick to go with that particular food item. And I want to hear the things that you particularly like to celebrate food wise this time of year or whenever. And then tell me what whiskeys you would like to have with that. So I know it's a lot, but I think it would be fun to kind of get through some of this. But yeah, so Mark's posted Robert Earl King. I posted his video for the Cajun night before Christmas. And I see Molasses is in. Hello, friend. Thanks for being in. So yeah, we're gonna have some really good stuff. I know Stacy's got some different foods up in Ohio. I know we've got some West Coast folks. Trooper's going to know what all these foods are because he's from here. But yeah, definitely want to hear that. As you prefer, I like that to think of what food goes with the whiskey. Now that sounds pretty good. I like that idea, especially if somebody else is cooking it. Just saying. So yeah, so I've come up with a list and I've kind of put them in categories like starters and appetizers, and then what scotches I would have with those, main dishes. So we'll kind of talk about some of that, and then desserts. And let's face it, this is the time of year for desserts, and I have a couple. I've not done my cooking yet. And you buy my cooking, you know what I mean? I mean, it's Southern woman, you got to start cooking for all the goodies, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to eat really well lately. And Christmas time is not conducive to eating well sometimes. So we have to do some modifications this year. Hey, Jim, see Kim Reddick's in. Thanks for being here. I know that guy. Now that guy gets a lot of wild game. So I would love to hear from Jim, like which, I will even say, which Highland Park goes with what type of game, because he is a big fan of Highland Park. So yes, I need to pour something. What do I want to pour? I just only have 10 bottles up here. I don't think I want to go with peat just yet. So I'm going to pour a sherry bomb of Tamdu. Batch strength number 1. An oldie but a goodie. Just still got a little bit of her. Just, is this not the most gorgeous bottle? I mean, one of the most gorgeous bottles. I love it. I actually have an infinity bottle that I made out of an old Tamdu bottle. So we'll get a little bit of that going. And we will talk about some starters and some appetizers. And thinking about those, down here in the South, we have these things called deviled eggs. And I think most everybody knows what a deviled egg or stuffed egg. I think Mark's family called them stuffed eggs. growing up, calling them deviled eggs, I always thought you were being a little bad. But egg yolk, mayonnaise, mustard, paprika, some seasoning, and put all that egg yolk, and then stuff it, or pipe it into half of a boiled egg. But I do mine a little differently because we have this place in New Orleans called Central Grocery Store. Again, Trooper knows what I'm talking about. And they make what's called an olive salad. And it is just a conglomerate of different olives, pickled carrots, cauliflower, garlic for days, all macerated in olive oil. And what I will do, Central Grocery uses that on their sandwich that they're famous for called a muffalata. So I will get some of that olive salad, chop it up in a processor, and mix it up with the egg yolk mixture to pipe that into the boiled egg, and everybody loves them. Everybody. So my Scotch buddy group here, where we usually go in and buy a bottle together for something, they particularly like them. Big hit at Thanksgiving, so I'm probably doing them again at Christmas. But you think about that, you think about the olives and the oiliness, and the mayonnaise, a charcuterie board. I'm surprised I can even say that. You've got meats, and again, olives, cheeses. Cheeses are, dense or salty. Spinach, artichoke dip, those kind of things, a little creamy element. All of that's pretty rich food, right? Most all of these things are going to be pretty rich. So what are some of those things that you might want to have complement that? And that's the thing. You want a whiskey that's going to complement what you're eating and not compete with it. So I almost look at opposites in that respect. So for something that's going to be salty and savory, high oil content, or oil, as we say down here, oil content, something like that, I would probably go with an ex-bourbon cask, something matured there. So say maybe like a Deanston 12 or even a Virgin Oak, something kind of clean and crisp. I think that would complement it well. Classic Laddie, I think that would be tasty with it. And I'm just kind of looking, if you want to kind of keep the bourbon maturation a little clean there, then I think those maybe Kilhoman, Montclair Bay, something like that. Even the Glenfiddich 12 or the 14, the bourbon cask 14. I think those would be really pretty tasty. But if you wanted a little hit of peat to go along with that salty savory bit, the Kilkerran 12, this one is so tasty. I think that one, and maybe Highland Park 12. I think those would be really good. So let me know what you think about that. And then, man, I'm loving I see all these great comments. I'm going to roll back up and see what folks are saying. Stacey, I think January is going to be the month of salads for sure. Yeah. We actually had a salad tonight. I was proud of myself. I forgot to say what is on for the Revian. Are you like I'm not sure what you're talking about, Peter. Are you talking about like for the Epiphany, like right after Christmas? Or I'm not sure what you're talking about, friend. Rob likes Christmas cookies with his scotch. That's really good. I've got one particular cookie here we'll have, and then another Louisiana delicacy that we'll talk about soon. But yeah, I want to know which one that is. Oh, and bread pudding. Okay, yes. That's a really good one. I should have added to the. I'm going to add that right now to my notes on bread pudding. We'll come back to that one. Bread pudding, because bread pudding can be a little different. I like the traditional, and a lot of people use a bourbon sauce with that. So I'd figure out like which one we would use. Great idea. So cool. Your mother-in-law makes deviled eggs. That's awesome. I hope. Tell her about my little secret about the olive salad. And you can kind of make your own olive salad stuff too. So for those who don't know, Ian's from Scotland. He lives way down under, literally. But so back in your Scotland, UK foods, okay, they're all really heavier and rich, warmed with Christmas pudding, sweet mince pies, turkey with all the dressings. So you usually have sherry to go with that. Very interesting. I can really see a sherry with the turkey and the dressing for sure. The mince pie, that's the thing. I don't think I've had one. I think I would know if I had one when I was over there. But there is a certain spice in that. And that would be interesting to figure out, like, what to navigate. If the spiciness of a Speyside sherry bomb would complement that. I could see it. I could see it. Oh, now this is a lovely tradition. Having beignets after midnight mass at St. Louis Cathedral, going off and having a cafe au lait at Cafe du Mall. Absolutely. Fog at 10 feet overhead. Yes, because you're right there at the Mississippi River. And we had hellacious fog today. So bad today. And y'all, it was 79 degrees here today. So all you folks with cold weather, send it down here a little bit, because Trooper and I are sweating. And you shouldn't be sweating the week before Christmas. That's for sure. Tempeh, yes, it's basically what I made out of the olives. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A deviled Scotch egg. Oh, think about that. So you could, how would you do that? So you would definitely like make 2 deviled eggs, put them together, maybe with some toothpicks, then deep fry it. Something like that. That's a whole nother, that sounds good. Hello, Too Slow. Thanks for being here. So Stacy makes a Christmas Irish bread pudding with a Liberator Tawny Port Irish whiskey. Oh, easy to match the whiskey and bring out the raisin notes. Yum. So it's a, tell me about the bread pudding, because ours is mainly like a brioche or French bread, leftover French bread. So kind of crusty on the outside, soft on the inside bread. And then, with like the eggs and the milk, a little bit of cinnamon and vanilla. But then we'll usually put raisins in it. The sauce is usually that kind of a bourbon, cream, lots of butter, lots of sugar. And you just like drizzle that over. That sounds really good. The tawny port, I'm getting those, Stacey, because as sweet as the bread or the pudding might be, then you kind of have that port sweet, but kind of a tart part there with the tawny. Oh, I'm loving it. Mega Dram Decision. Hello. What an awesome name. Get off the pot and make a Dram Decision. I love it. And yes, Kilcaren 12 is awesome. Yeah. Hey, friend. Thanks for being here tonight and joining us. Glencairn with apple slices, cream cheese with brie, and chorizo. Oh my goodness. So you've got clean, crisp Glencairn, right? Apple slices pair right there with it, clean, crisp. The creaminess from the cream cheese and the brie, butter, all day butter. And then a spice kick for the chorizo. I am digging that, Sugar Kitty. Hell yeah. Oh, man. Mm. Yeah. Goodness. So Molasses had French toast this morning. If you're not hungry, you're going to be by the end of the show. You're going to just start writing everything down, like what you want to cook and what you need to order. So you made French toast with the Italian, is it panettone? I never know how to say that word. But I see it. I see it all in the stores, and I think it looks like a brick. What do you do with that? But my heavens, a French toast with that. It was life-changing here. Okay. That sounds lovely. Yum. No doubt, Mark. We're gonna be gaining weight just reading the comments here. So Peter talks about their Christmas Eve, and a lot of people do Christmas Eve. We're more of a Christmas Day kind of thing. Multi-course meal had in the quarter. Okay, at La Petite Theater. Oh, it's so wonderful there. Okay. Oh, and at Texcoco, and then went to see the bonfires. That's a wonderful place. Unfortunately, Texcoco is not there anymore. It did burn. Crazy enough, I have a piece of furniture from there, though, a planner's desk from there that was taken out and sold before the fire. But yeah, it's a great way to go and see the bonfires. You can even take like a paddle wheel or a cruise up the Mississippi and be on the Mississippi side in the river and watch the bonfires. It's really cool. Probably better than being on the highway because it's a lot. But the thing too is, families are doing that when they go to the bonfires and everybody's cooking and they're cooking gumbo and they're cooking jambalaya and, you may be Peter. You may be totally somebody who's a tourist or coming in. I mean, he's very familiar with here, but someone that you're not kin to any of these people, and you walk up and they're gonna feed you. That's the beauty of it down here. It's just they're gonna feed you and make sure you're taken care of. Oh, and see, this tamdu would be really good. I think with the charcuterie board too, with the sweetness up against like an English cheddar cheese or even some kind of like a salami or some kind of like salty cracker thing too. So Sugar Kitty had peanut butter cookies with Booker's. Okay, and molasses cookies with Still Austin rye. Ooh, I bet that rye had a nice little kick with them, and the molasses probably, tamed it a little bit there. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. This is so cool. So Sugar Kitty says, where you are, it was 55 today and tonight's 18. Birch Hill. Yeah. Now I just need to not sweat putting my Christmas tree up. I'm just saying. It's up and good, but you shouldn't be wearing shorts the week before Christmas. That's all I'm saying. So back to that Irish bread pudding. So use leftover French bread, eggs, milk, sugar, nutmeg, raisins soaked in the tawny port. Yep. And the sauce was cream based. And then, just put a little bit more whiskey in. You can never have too much. Yeah, I think we're all going to be hungry for something. Make a damn decision. I'm going to say your name all night long. I love it. That's awesome. So, you had the good bread pudding recipe, and Sir Morris O'Connell from the Liberator recommended soaking in the raisins. Game changer. Check her live out. Watch the replay from last week, from last Sunday, where she had him on. Y'all, she had a sir on her show. Go check that out. She's just amazing stuff. Hey, Jimmy Jazz is in. Mark Broda's in. Drew Bills is in. We all the boys are in from Thanks. Crashing the party. No problem, dear. Come in. We just hit appetizers. We're going to mains now. And yeah, so let's talk about our main this time of year. Mark's making one Saturday. Gumbo. Y'all. Gumbo is so good for this time of year. Again, I don't particularly like to eat it when it's 80 degrees like today. So, but it's going to be 50 something this weekend. So that's when Mark's making it. Perfect. Gumbo can be different things. So a Cajun gumbo is going to be a dark roux, that Hershey bar chocolate roux, onions, bell pepper, celery, the Holy Trinity, and sausage and gum and chicken, usually, maybe turkey if you're doing it right after Thanksgiving or Christmas. You can blow the turkey down, pick it apart, put that in there for the gumbo. So that's more of a Cajun. Your seafood gumbo is more New Orleans, and that's going to have maybe even a little tomato base or a little more. It's going to be a little brothier, and it may have crab meat or shrimp, maybe crawfish. But really it's going to have maybe even have some okra in it, although it kind of depends on who's doing it. So gumbo is like jambalaya. It's going to be different depending on whoever's making it. But when we have it, it's that chicken and sausage version. And it's just so it's smoky from the sausage. It's just earthy from the roux. And with that, I still would like something smoky and a little sweet. And one of the things that I would like to have with that is Lafroig Lore. Tell me what you think. I think you either go just straight bourbon, ex-bourbon cask, or you go with a smoky sweet. And again, a Kilcairn 12 I would not kick it off the table. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to think of just stuff that most people have or can get rather than kind of some obscure, fabulous bottle that, you just can't go out and go find. So gumbo is definitely one. Char grilled oysters. That's another thing that we love eating down here. And you can even make them yourself if you have like little tins or shells, or you can even do them in a muffin tin. You can buy the oysters out of the seafood section, put them in there, Parmesan, garlic, butter, cardboard in that would be tasty. So again, that with maybe some Ardbeg, or I would probably do Ardbeg on fresh oysters and like a Lafroig 10 cast strength on the char grilled oyster. Because that smoke and peat will complement the oil and the garlic and the Parmesan really, really well. I think that would be lovely. Ian saying their cheese board later on, a nice refill bourbon. Yeah, depending on the cheese, maybe a port cask. Yes, like a goat cheese, like a Chevelle. Is it Chevelle? I don't know how to pronounce these things. They're all fancy, but like a soft goat cheese with a port finish whiskey. I think that would be lovely. Hey, George, good to see you. Cheers, my friend. I know y'all had another fun time. Goodness, there's so much. I'm sorry. We just had dinner too, but I could nosh on all kinds of stuff right now. trying to be good, really trying to be good. You're not playing 12 Yats of Christmas and thinking of Mr. Bingle. That's funny. So Mr. Bingle is a snowman mascot from Godshaw's department store in New Orleans, y'all. It's a old New Orleans thing, right, Peter? It's an old New Orleans thing. What would you pair with Chex Mix? How did I forget Chex Mix on the starters? I always get alcohol burn from salty things. That's true, especially with like Chex, because it's like any cereal. You eat too much of it, and it's gonna like shred the top of your palate, right? But especially with that Worcestershire sauce, we kick it up a notch. There's cayenne in there, some slap your mama Cajun seasoning. Again, I'm sure Trooper does that for sure. But yeah, that would be interesting. I would do something sweet. I might even do a sherry Speyside with that, because I think you need something that counterbalances all the salt, and I think a sweet would do that. I mean, the tamdu would be one thing. Even something like a run of the mill, like a Glenfiddich 15. Something not so precious that you don't want. I mean, you can enjoy it, but salt. So, great thing there, Ross. Um, So, Ian, yes, you will. I'm hoping for slightly cooler weather, and you're actually going to be on the beach because it's summer in Australia. Of course, it is. Oh, Peter Reveillon. That's more of a New Orleans thing. Mark may have to tell you about that. I say it is. I don't think it's a Cajun thing. I don't know. We don't do that a whole lot in Baton Rouge. Yeah. So I'm just trying to keep up with everything. So yeah, the hog, that or Uncle Grandpa's sausage, we may use that too. I don't know, but that still is really good sausage, straight from the hog. Ooh, lots of cold. Yes, because Rosebud's up in Alaska, y'all. It's chilly up there. So with the Chex Mix, Mark says you can pour a nice Johnny Walker swing, spicy notes, and you still get with the Cajun flavor. With the Cajun flavor. That's cool. So troguer oysters. Okay, so then there's two other New Orleans type mains, or side dishes, I guess I could call them. And I don't know, Peter, you maybe have had some of these. I know Trooper has, if he's still on. One is called shrimp melon casserole, and the other is a stuffed artichoke or artichoke casserole. And so shrimp melon, and it's Mirliton, Mirliton, is a chayote pear. Other people, like for those over in the West, you call it a chayote pear. It's a squash. It's this kind of oblongy, kind of bright green squash. Any squash takes on a flavor that you put with it, right? So you cook it, you parboil all that down, cut it up, and then you put shrimp, breadcrumbs, garlic, Parmesan, and drizzle olive oil all through it and bake it. And it's so good. And the squash is there, it pulls all those flavors from the Italian seasonings in it. A stuffed artichoke is literally an artichoke that's been boiled, cut the tips cut off, boiled, and then when it comes out of tender, you open up all the leaves and you stuff a conglomerate of Parmesan, Italian breadcrumbs, and olive oil and garlic. So you do all of that, and then you pull each leaf off, and you just kind of rake it off. You might dip it in some olive oil or some lemon sauce or something like that, and it's just so good. predominantly garlic, predominantly, heavy with olive oil and the cheese. The cheat or the easy way to have that same flavor is to make a casserole with artichoke quarters and all of those things, the breadcrumbs, the olive oil, the Parmesan cheese, the garlic, and bake that. And I'm going to tell you, it's so freaking good. As Mark would say, you could eat that on French bread. It's so good. So with those, both of those, the shrimp minestrone is a little sweet, and I think it would be lovely with the Glen Scotia Victoriana. You got a little bit of char on that Victoriana. It's 54%. It's got a kick to it. And as sweet and even as garlicky as that is, I think it would play well with the sweetness of the Glen Scotia and that char you get on the finish of Glen Scotia Victoriana. The artichoke casserole, I think it's so rich. I think a classic latte is good to go. I think that's just that really nice, clean, crisp juxtaposition, if I could say, up against all that garlic and Parmesan. I think that would be really good. If you want some of these recipes, hit me up. You can DM me, scotchonthebayou@gmail.com, whatever. I'll be happy to send you some recipes. And patrons already know there's a recipe on the Patreon page tonight that I posted for one of my treasured family recipes we're going to get to in the dessert section for sure. Yeah, goodness gracious. As Marcus, this is so true. His mother made all of these. She taught me how to make those two dishes, and Italian breadcrumbs are actually, it's a food group down here. For sure it is. So what about other things and other like when you get, like, I know a lot of people do like a brisket or a prime rib maybe for Christmas, just a big old hunk of meat, thinking about that. One of my Scotch buddies, Donnie, does really good prime rib when we get together for Padre Scotch night. And this, I think in particular, would be lovely with prime rib. And that's the Ardbeg Black, which is it was committee release in with the New Zealand Pinot Noir casks. That I think would be a really, really nice complement to the prime rib, or even a brisket. And when you think about, especially us in the South, we smoke everything. We put it on the barbecue pit, veggies, meat, fish, whatever. We throw it on the barbecue pit. So I think a lot of us do like the smoke. And I mean, the first time I had a peated whiskey was at Lafroig, and I was like, well, damn, this is good. I'm not scared of this. So I think that would be really pretty tasty. You have something like tamales. That's another thing in the South. Like along, like say Memphis, down the Delta on the east and west side of the Mississippi. It's a huge area for tamales. And that goes back to the 1800s when people would eat that, because with different cultures coming in to help work fields and then passing it on to other cultures. And it just became a Southern Delta thing, is to have a tamale. And that with the spicy and the cornmeal, I think, this tamdu would be really nice with it. A little sweet on that, sweet and savory kind of thing going. So a good cheddar cheese fried to be crisp is pretty tasty on the French bread. There's lots of things good on French bread. I ain't gonna lie. Lot there. That's for sure. Oh goodness. So okay. I got you. Okay. So back in the 90s, it's near Jackson Square. Okay. Wait for the traffic to come out. Yeah, for sure. Um, okay. That's when we left, when I left and went to Texas. So that's why, I guess that's why I'm missing it, Peter. I didn't quite get that. But y'all having gumbo on Monday and watch the Saints and Packers. Yay. And I hope a good trip to the heart doctor on Tuesday. All good things sending your way, friend, for sure. But yeah, so you have to tell me what you put in your gumbo. Mm. Damn, this tamdu's good. So a couple more things. New Year's Day is a big thing in the South because there's two things you have to eat on New Year's Day. Who knows what they are? If you're Southern, you have to have black-eyed peas and you have to have cabbage. Why must you have those two things? Number one, black-eyed peas, that is good luck. You have to have your peas to have good luck in the next year. Usually cooked down to there's no nutritional value in them whatsoever with ham or ham hock or bacon or something like that. So I actually have my ham ends from Thanksgiving that we'll be making our black-eyed peas. Cabbage is not usually one of my favorite things. I mean, I like a slaw, cooked cabbage. Mark's grandmother taught me how to make smothered cabbage, and that is really good. Again, you're braising down some bacon to get that fat rendered, and then onions and cabbage, and just kind of like working that through. But your cabbage is what brings you money in the new year. So it's very, very important to have those two things. And I was just kind of thinking about kind of the starch of the black-eyed peas. Usually you have some cornbread to go along with all that. Just cornbread, not sweet cornbread. And then the cabbage. And I think like a really crisp, peanut or not, probably not. Now I'm thinking about it because I think the ham would have enough smoke to cover it. But a minerally Ardnamurchan. Oh, don't you think? I think that would just be something that'd be really tasty to do. So just a couple of things to think about when it comes to maybe pairing some of this or trying some of it out, that kind of thing. I think it would be fun. With the roast beast, good French onion soup is a great starter. Oh yeah, I bet so. Good and brothy, but I think that would be good for something kind of smoky, not maybe so sweet, but a good smoky whiskey. Sugar Kitty's talking about baking spices, spice, cardamom, cinnamon, nutmeg, all of those right there because raw content is in the mash bill. Very sure. Yep. Very cool. Yes, I do agree with a remoulade sauce on the slaw you got there. Graham, we're going to make you hungry if you aren't already. Thanks for being here. You've been traveling. Boy, got to go to Isla a couple weeks ago, and we're all living vicariously through him for sure. Yes, George, if you have not been eating your black-eyed peas and cornbread and cabbage on New Year's Day, friend, we need to do that. You need to. I'll send you some up. I'll send you some camellia peas, something like that, for sure. Yeah, we. This is good. This is good. I'm having fun with this, y'all. Let's get to the best category. Unless anybody else has some other like everydays, or food. And let's talk about desserts. Now, this is one where I think a lot of people just, like if you go to a tasting, sometimes they'll have like little nibbles and things with a Scotch tasting. A lot of them will do a chocolate and Scotch tasting. The Alarace, we did one of those, the Scotch and chocolate. Um, and because there's so many different chocolates, and to play off of that, I think it would be cool. When you think about chocolate at Christmas time or this time of year, you definitely think about hot chocolate, right? You think about those Yule logs or the bouchée de Noël, that looks like a log with the meringue mushrooms and all. My friend at least makes them, and they're just absolutely stunning. Um, and we make fudge. Just we'll make a plain fudge and a fudge with pecans. Um, and I started thinking about that, about what would pair well with those kinds of chocolate. And this is one of my favorite bottles from last year. Big shout out to Peter Lee for sourcing it for me. Graham, I think, knew that I had this at Glasgow Whiskey Festival last year, and thankfully I was able to check my coat with it in it. But this is one of my favorite smoky sweets, and that is the Cabocan 15. This is, maybe that'll be a better thing to see, the 15-year Cabocan. It's a batch strength, and oh my heavens. This I think would go really good with chocolate, with that fudge. It's got a little smoke sweet, not so much peat. Maybe even a Benromic, you know, one of those. I think that would be tasty. What would you go? What would you think about for chocolate? Ooh, Port Charlotte's Dynamite for ham. I could totally see that. Totally see that. What you hungry for, Graham? um, yes. Oh, Peter, yes. I want to do some more Delback. And while we're talking about Delback, let's talk about real quick a freaking hallelujah that the TTB finally ratified. American single malt is its own category now. It is its real own category. I'm so excited they finally got off their butt and did that. And hooray for the folks at Delbach, Andalusia, Stranahan's, Westward, Westland, Virginia Distillery, all the single malt folks that have been busting it and trying to make a really good product and finally have their own category. I love it. Oh, Graham, I knew you wouldn't fail me. Blue cheese and peated Isla whiskey. That, just the creamy oiliness. You could almost have a Campbelltown, though I think the Campbelltown two funks would fight each other. That sounded terribly awful, didn't it? But blue cheese is kind of funky, and if you put a funky Campbelltown, that probably would be too much. But no, I love Isla Pete. That sounds great. Really, really good. What about eggnog? So if you make an eggnog, are you going to put a really good whiskey in it? I think you could put some naked malt in it or some monkey shoulder, you know? I think that would be pretty tasty. And we talked about bread pudding. Now, Stacy made her bread pudding with an Irish whiskey, and I'm going to fly back up into the chat if I can remember what it was. The Liberator is what she used in hers. But I could definitely tell a good sherry whiskey for that would be nice. Port wine cheese and peated Isla. Again, you got that smoky and sweet going, right? I like that. To kind of flip back and forth. I make a really good pecan pie. I make my grandmother's, my mom's recipe for pecan pie. And we had a lot of pecans this year. As in, we have 3 pecan trees in our backyard, and they did really well. And I've got pecans coming out of my ears. So we'll be making lots of pecan pie for Christmas. And I think one of the things I thought about that So I think when we talk about sherries and whiskey, we use a lot of notes that are out of this time of year desserts, whether it's fruitcake or Christmas spices. Um, with a pecan pie, it's got this kind of custard um, center, and then all the pecans rise to the top and then kind of glaze over in the baking process, and they're kind of crunchy and sweet on the top, almost like the outer layer of a creme brulee. It's just kind of like you could knock your fork on it and clunk, 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 that kind of thing. With a pecan pie, I think it would be neat to try something, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to try something, but like this Kilhoman Madeira cask. Thoughts? I think that Madeira kind of sour bit to go with a super, super sweet pie. I want to try that out. Tell me what y'all think about that. Sugar case. If for chocolates, you would try the Tamdu, possibly a Bunnahabhain. Ooh, with a good amount of sherry. Yes, that does sound lovely. Yeah. So, talk about a creme brulee. Yes, go and see that Commander's Palace, whichever the Brennan restaurants you want to go to. Yum. So, gingerbread cookies, that's a little different though. Think about that, because that heavier kind of spice, that ginger spice in that cookie, I think needs either something really sweet or something very crisp. Oh, Sugar Kitty. Yeah. Oh. Ooh. I think I got an Old Perth Palo Cortado. I may have to try that. Oh, good suggestion. Love that. And cigar malt. Good cigars and a cigar malt whiskey, like a Dalmore or Tom and Tao. Okay. Yeah. Yum. Y'all, I am hungry now. But I have two desserts. So gingerbread, that one is a little odd for me. I don't know exactly what. I would want something kind of creamy, I think, with that. Either sweet and creamy. Maybe the Tamdu, something that's, or super sweet, a Glendronach, something like that. So in my hand, I have some pralines my friend Sharon made me. Pralines are a lot of gumbo. Everybody got their own way of making them. But if you haven't seen one, this is it. And if there were only smell-o-vision. Now she uses almond extract in hers, where I think Mark's dad's recipe is just vanilla. So I have a little bit of that. Yeah, it's pure sugar. Sugar, butter. That's it, just about. With the pecans. But the sugar just dissolves into no grit, and it's just creamy. Sugar, butter, and water. I mean, sugar, butter, and milk, I think is what it is. And with the praline, I think this is Aaron 10. I want a little sip of this. A little sip of Aaron 10, and then I want a little sip of the Kilkerran 12. Because, okay, where'd it go? 10 bottles. Of course, I'm not drinking them all. Because I want to take a bite, take a sip, take a bite, take a sip, and just kind of see. So again, hey, Don, good to see you. Ooh, Craig Alki 13 with the pecan pie. Oh yeah. That's the Aaron 10. That's nice. It kind of gets lost. Give me another bite. But that's with the pecan. No, we'll go with the Kilcairn 12. It's so super sweet. I haven't been eating a lot of sweets lately. Mm. You know, let's try that. Probably right after the pea, but whatever. The tamdu tastes savory up against this praline. It's so sweet. I think I'm liking the Aaron to just kind of counterbalance the sweetness of that one for sure. Dark chocolate and sherried. Absolutely. Marriage made in heaven. Yeah. Because that little bitterness from that dark chocolate and a sherry just kind of chef's kiss. Is that what they call it? Oh, okay. So you make an Irish cream with redbreast Lucille. Oh, that sounds tasty. So Stacy was on earlier, Donald, and she had made an Irish bread pudding. That sounds divine. The gingerbread, Melissa's is going with the gingerbread cookies and the Glen Scotia 2020 14-year-old Tawny Port Festival release. Wow, spiciness stands up to the gingerbread. Oh, very nice. Y'all, I think we're all going to gain 10 pounds tonight, as Mark said. And then there's one other. I got multiple glasses, but I wanted to. Okay. So this other thing is Costco. Gotta love Costco, right? Had a big tin of Walker shortbread, which you can tell I've already been munching on here. It's so good. It's so good. I've always liked shortbread. Even as a kid, didn't know it was Scottish. This is my pick. My buddy Alistair, the Duncannon. With the shortbread. And then we got crumbs all over. Oh. That went down the wrong way. Oh, goodness. I think I inhaled that. Shortbread's your kryptonite. And that's funny. Oh, goodness. Woo. Y'all. Goodness. Peter will understand what happened. It's almost like when you're eating a beignet and you bring the wind up through and you get the powdered sugar go down the wrong way. That's what just happened with the shortbread. Oh, y'all. All right, let's try this Dingana again. Much better. And I'm crying. Oh, that's a nice taste. It's got a little bit more. I don't know about the peat in it. I think I might do. Where's a little bit of that tamdu? Tamdu is becoming my favorite tonight. So, previously had the Kintyre cheese company Springbank matured cheddar. Ooh. With a cage bottle and a Hazelburn tin. Yum. That sounds delicious. There were a couple of times that we've been able to get that just regular Kintyre cheese, but I keep looking for it. Mm, mm, mm. Um, so one other thing, we'll close down here in a bit. I was worried about filling up an hour. I think we could go. We could keep going talking about all this food. Um, is fruitcake. Now, I know, fruitcake is one of those things we talk about in Sherry's about this the Christmas cake notes or the spices and the stewed fruits and all of that kind of stuff. And it's it gets bad rap. So my mom's mom, my granny, my gran made her type of fruitcake. And I would call it a blonde fruitcake. It's a light color. And she would use the jeweled fruit, if you know what I mean, like the red and green and all that. I don't think mom uses the green anymore. She just uses the cherries. um and pecans and but it's a lot of cake and a little bit of fruit. My dad's mom, my nana, very colorful woman, she would make her version and it barely had enough flour to hold everything together. She really enjoyed her whiskey. She liked Old Crow in early times, and she would make this fruitcake like the weekend after Thanksgiving. And for Christmas, she'd make it that early. She would make it in this big white enamel pan with all the ingredients. And she would just, like Dad said, that she would just get her hands in it and just mix it all together with her hands and put it in a bundt pan. So for those that don't know, bundt pan's got a hole in the center. And she would cook it, and then she would put it in and I remember this tin. It was a Charlie's Chip tin. For those of this demographic, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of that beige speckled. You literally got potato chips delivered at your house from the Charlie Chips man, like if it was milk or something. And she would put that cake in that bundt pan and put a jigger down in the hole. She would douse the cake with Old Crow. She would fill the jigger up with Old Crow and put the lid on it and put it in the fridge. And every week she would take it out. She'd fill the jigger back up. She'd douse it again and put it back in until Christmas. It was well liquored, is what she would call it. It's a well liquored cake. I make it. I have her recipe in her own hand. And I've done some things and kind of tweaked it. But basically, it's got 3 cups of pecans in it. It's got 1.5 pounds of fruit. Now, she didn't like fruitcake mix, so she used dates and raisins. I used dates, raisins, cranberries, and cherries in it. And where she used Old Crow, this is what I use. I use Glendronach 12. I put a 12-year-old sherry. There's only 1/2 cup when you're cooking it, but then I'll take some of them and put them in a container and douse them and let them just keep going and keep going. This is a cake you will eat. This is not a cake you will want to use as a doorstop. It is absolutely amazing. And I want to let patrons know, if they don't know or haven't seen already, that I've posted that recipe on the patron page for you all to try out. And I would love to hear if you make it and what you think about it. And it's just a way of being able to share some of my tradition with you all. And we talked about a lot of things, the different, New Orleans foods and things like that. If it's something that you want a recipe of, I can help. I would love to do that for sure. For sure. So Ross says that your mom would make canned minced meat in her fruitcake. Okay. Oh, interesting. Now stollen, yes. Stollen, my other grandmother would make stollen. And you can buy it like at World Market. You can buy a Stolen, and a couple of specialty grocery stores would have it, and it would have like the jeweled fruits and stuff like that in it. And but yeah, Stolen is a big one too. Oh, Aldi. We just started getting Aldi's down here. I'll have to go check. Sugar Kitty, thanks for the tip. Powder, Dixie crystals. That's fun. Yeah, powdered sugar is really something. That got me, and usually it's not easy. So some of them do. That's like my grandmother used the Old Crow. But yeah, I had to take it up to a single malt area. You know me. Ian, thanks so much. I'm so glad you were able to join us, and I hope you don't sweat too much on Christmas. But thanks so much for being here with us. I appreciate it. Oh, cognac. Now that would be another whole flavor. That's for sure. Absolutely. That sounded lovely. See, people are understanding the whole Charlie Chips thing. It was definitely a thing. You can still order them and get them at World Market, and that's good to know. So anyone tried using whiskey as a base for a fruit trifle instead of brandy? I don't know. See, I don't know if the trifle translates the same from your side of the Atlantic to mine. So a trifle, I will just say that if you mess up a dessert, you throw it in a trifle bowl and you call it a trifle. If you bake a cake and it doesn't look really good, you chop it all up and put some, like whipped cream in it and berries and call it a trifle. So I don't know about the brandy. You'll have to share with the class on that one, Graham. That sounds really good. That sounds really good. Oh, Peter, then that's a special thing. Yeah, I think you should try to do that. I'll have some Talisker this weekend for you, Mom, for sure. It probably was quite flammable. The funny part about it is, like, I was probably 9-10 years old eating it. So all I gotta say is I come by this honestly. Between my papa, her husband, and his dad running an illicit still in the hills of West Tennessee, to her making Old Crow soaked fruitcake. I'm Leanne, and this is Scotch on the Bayou. What can I say? But yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. And again, whether you're watching live or the replay, thanks for all the comments tonight. And if you're watching the replay, throw some comments in and let us know what your favorite traditional foods are and what those whiskeys are with them. And just really enjoy this time of year. Try to get some slack. It's just so much rushing and doing and all the things. Take some time to enjoy making these things and just the act of putting them together. I'm going to make the fruitcake this weekend, and I'm really just excited about some quiet time just to make a mess in the kitchen and think about what Louise would think about me doing this to her fruitcake recipe, and I know my dad's going to be happy to get his fruitcake this year. So, y'all, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Graham's answering us that it's a biscuit base fruit trifle, traditionally soaked in brandy, gives it a nice little punch. I bet a nice sherry whiskey would be really good with that for sure. But yeah, so we'll see you after a new year, and I will wish you a new year when it comes. I learned that from John McShane. But truly, thanks everyone for this year, and I hope you enjoy your whiskey. I hope you enjoy your time with the ones you love. Reach out and anytime, and know that how much I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being here on Tuesday night so we can have a little fun, talk some food, talk some whiskey, and I will see you next year. And until then, Sanja, y'all. Mm.